So guys, we will continue with the sewage treatment plant discussion. So here you see we have discussed about the safety instruction, and now we will move to the performance standard of a sewage treatment plant. What decides the performance standard? So generally you see whenever we talk about performance standard, we check that the chlorine levels and the pH levels on board. Generally these two tests we are doing and check the effluent condition visually, right?
To every marine engineer out there, from junior engineer to chief engineer and electrical officer, we all know that earning respectonship is very important. We all know fast promotions are very important, and we all know that इज्जत कमानी है, promotion चाहिए तो काम आना चाहिए, तो जूते पड़ते हैं, गालियां पड़ती हैं, and for that you need a good mentor. Sometimes we keep finding those mentors on board ship, अगर नहीं मिल रहे तो MNDFLIX है ना, Merchant Navy Decoded has launched a subscription model where you can find more than 30 plus courses with respect to your rank, helping you earn respect on ship. Please enroll on these free trial videos, watch these videos as per rank, and then decide whether you want to invest or not, with a very good flexible payment plan as well. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata.
But actually the MEPC, Marine Environment Protection Committee 159th resolution requires a specific performance standard from a sewage treatment plant. In this kind of a Tyco SBH series, you have two disinfectant mediums. One is, here you can see there is a sterilizer, it is written over here, sterilizer. This is basically a chlorine chamber which is for the first sterilization, and second is a UV lamp. We know that UV, actually ultraviolet rays, kills the dangerous harmful bacteria, and then the sewage becomes treated. So there is a dual sterilization taking place in this kind of a specific, only in this kind of a sewage treatment plant. So you don't completely rely on the sterilization done by the chlorine compartment. Okay, so this is the biofilter method, and the treatment is approved according to this. So let us talk about what is the performance standard. So you can see this is the purification performance standard of the sewage treatment plant. Let me discuss this one in detail. I had discussed it before also, but let me just clarify it once more. So you see this is BOD5, that is biochemical oxygen demand for over the 5 days period. We suppose that the sewage which is coming in, which is having around 300 mg per liter of biological oxygen demand, reduces to 25, that is below 25 mg per liter, that oxygen demand. The point is कि over a period of 5 days, BOD means biochemical oxygen demand. So we know, now let me explain this to you. So you see, sewage is an organic waste matter. It has got some organic components, some inorganic components, some chemical components. Okay, now for the organic waste to be decomposed, we are supplying air into the chambers, yes, which is producing the aerobic bacteria. Aerobic respiration is taking place, and due to which the sewage is getting disintegrated. Okay, so but what is the sewage consuming? It is consuming oxygen, right? So this process is called aerobic process, aerobic respiration, in which oxygen is being consumed. So that is our criteria for measuring ki how much is the quality of the effluent has been treated. So treatment, what is the quality of treatment? See, like if you have 300 initially required, 300 mg per liter or 300 ppm initially required, say from where the sewage is entering this is the amount of air which is required. When it completes the process and after the sterilization, when it is being discharged, you see here is your sampling point, which is after the complete process. There you take the sample and you measure this BOD. So at this point, when it has completely crossed first chamber, second chamber, this chamber, sterilization chamber, and then it reaches this point, at that point it should reduce from 300 ppm to only 25 or less than 25 ppm. Only 25 ppm is the now oxygen required for the disintegration of the remaining organic matter in the sewage. I hope you understood this. This is called the BOD, biochemical oxygen demand, for decomposition of the organic matter, disintegration of the organic matter. Basically, we are disintegrating, breaking it into small components, making it into only water, black water, right? Raw sewage, raw sludge, activated sludge remains down, and the complete broken components, they rise up slowly, become water, and they move to the other chambers. That is called BOD. How do you test it? So for testing, there is a special BOD kit. You place this water, which is taken as a sample from the after the treatment chamber. Okay, you place it with the requirement, say in oxygen, a space where the oxygen is present, and you measure the amount of oxygen consumed. So basically, when I used to do it, there was a kit supplied by the maker, which was when the color changes, with the change in color, we used to identify how much is the BOD content. Okay, what was the BOD requirement to completely break it down into this change of color. Okay, that is how the makers give you to identify BOD content. So over a period of 5 days, this is called BOD 5. This much should be the integration. That is why it is given, MEPC is given. So it is assuming that for a 5-day period, the sewage reaches from here to the end chamber in a 5-day period. So that is why they have given the criteria for BOD 5. Okay, I hope you understood. Next is the TSS, which is called total suspended solids. So we understand suspended solids is, in our feces, in our excreta, there are some suspended solids also present, which will not be decomposed by the aerobic respiration. Okay, grain particles or like these solid particles, which will not be ultimately broken down. But as much as possible, they need to be broken down, and ultimately the water which is coming out from this sampling point should have only 35 ppm. mg per liter is almost, because when we are talking about water, so when we are talking about water, 1 ppm is almost equal to 1 mg per liter. Okay, so yes, so total suspended solid should be around less than 35 ppm. Okay, in this last sample only 35 ppm. So that is also have criteria to measure the total suspended solids given by the maker kit. Okay, this is thermotolerant coliforms. Thermotolerant, why? This is generally E. coli, Escherichia coli, or E. coli, which is present in the human feces. Thermotolerant, why? Because generally the coliforms have a tendency to die at a high temperature. But they say that these kind of coliforms are having thermotolerance at a temperature of around 44 degrees centigrade and pressure, higher pressure, around 1.5 bar pressure also, they are not able to die. Basically thermo, because temperature, so 44 degrees is this temperature, 44.2 as far as I recall. So they should be, E. coli's value should be only 100 CFU per 100 ml. That is very less. These are so tiny particles. In 100 ml, only 100 colony forming units are allowed. Okay. Okay. Next is COD. COD is chemical oxygen demand. So when I talked about biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand is a similar term. So there is some component in the excreta which is chemical component, like bicarbonates, like phosphates. These are also present there, but they are also disintegrated by the presence of air, but the amount of air required will be higher in this case, because see, chemicals will be more tougher to break down. If you understand in simple layman language, you will that aerobic material, the organic material, will be easier to break down, so it will require less amount of oxygen. Similarly, the chemical components will require more amount of oxygen. So what they have, and since they are less of so damaging to the marine environment, they say that it is allowed that at the end of the treatment chamber only up to 125 ppm 125 ppm or mg per liter of COD is allowed. So that means that whatever content of the sample is present, it is allowed that it can consume up to 125 ppm of air. 125 ppm of COD is the chemical material is present that will consume to become zero. This COD will consume 125 ppm. Okay, 125 ppm of this is allowed. Okay, next is pH. pH, we all know that it is acidic and basic content. They are talking about acidic and basic. So 6 is towards the acidic, 7 is neutral, 8.5 is towards the basic. So it is saying not too acidic and not too basic, almost in the range of neutral the pH should be. That is basically if the pH is more acidic, that means the bacteria or the oxidation has not taken place properly, oxygen was not properly supplied. And lastly is the residual chlorine. This is basically disinfecting the material, which should be less than 0.5 ppm. So we don't want the chlorine also to be too much, because that also becomes damaging to the environment. The chlorine content is also required only less than 0.5 ppm. Okay, so that is about the performance standard of the sewage treatment plant for the Tyco SBH series. When we are meeting next, we will be discussing the sewage treatment plant, this diagram and a few important points regarding that. Thank you.